Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the one, the only, the widely anticipated, the championship you want to be a part of, the championship that has got the world's best drivers taking to the circuit, and the championship that you want to win. You're going to be on bated breath every single time. Welcome back to Eon Ray Sunday Championship Season 18, and welcome to Server 1, where the fastest drivers in the world get to duke it out. Doesn't matter which continent you support, doesn't matter where you are, we have got some of the best. And round one, what better way to kick off the season than the legendary circuit that has made legacies, has always been at the forefront of ovals. It has also been the forefront of incredible side-by-side action. A roval that tests not only man and machine, but puts teams out in the pit lane to the ragged edge. It has seen manufacturers of tires run into controversy and having to really develop, to push, to go the extra mile here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a 3.9 kilometer circuit with undulations, with banking that can absolutely wipe your car out or get you the best drive. It is 14 corners going 15 if you really want to swing it through onto the oval. So technically 15 corners as per the FIA. But is a circuit that makes life into incredible moments. Folks, opened in 1909, this track has been the one and the only, known as the Brickyard, known as Legacy itself. And tonight will be round one of the Eon Ray Sunday Championship. And I cannot stress this enough. Our drivers are at the ready. Our drivers are looking to push the moments forward. Our drivers are looking to be the best ever. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is they're going to have to be at the top of the leaderboard no matter what. And we're in for it, as our drivers will be heading out onto our qualifying, starting off with our gold, and we are ready to see them out there. So, as we cross over to our cameras, Tim giving us all the shots. And Tim, can you give us that symphony of the engines to come through? Thank you very much. And we are away with qualifying cars just exiting the pits. And so far, out first is Christian Fingler himself. Missed out a lot of racing last season, back with a vengeance this season, and wanting to stay at the top for the Track Tool team. Has been pretty much overhead on the team, keeping an eye on the overview, but we'll have to see what he can do. Nicholas Morris a little bit further down, will be pushing a little bit harder. He's out there in the Martini colors, in the Martini Porsche. Absolutely stunning to see him charging in a new set of colors. Gotta say, looking quite swag compared to his original. Nicholas Lawrence a little bit further down. He's in the Track Tool team, also in the DeVault colors, and we'll be trying to push a little bit more. Change of car for Nicholas Lawrence, and we'll be seeing what can happen out in the McLaren. Finley Gamble, the 2ID 296, returns to fight for the podium, and the 2ID team backing up Finley Gamble all the way, looking to see him move forward. And we've got Sean Young, new driver to Server 1, the cyber racing machine, looking to have a huge amount of fun, and on his debut, stand to the top. So let's see if Sean has got what it's take. Hunto Foss returns in the AMG Team El Minor team, and what an incredible time. Hunto hoping to push a little bit harder and see where he goes. Now, another driver that comes back to racing after having a lot going on in his racing career. He landed up rolling a backdraft in KZN, a fracture on the spine, and landed up going and having fractures on the fingers that stopped him from racing. This is his first time back in racing flight, in sim racing, since that accident that happened in the beginning of March. And despite what the doctors have said, well, he's going to give it his best shot. He's going to see what he's going to do. And we got Rich Van Heerden going to stay around. El Perry out in the Nissan GTR is going to be a tough flight and hoping to stay at the top rung. It's going to be a difficult one for him. The Nissan GTR's got the power, but chews through its tires. And El Perry looking to fight the way to the top. But let's talk about our defending champion, Lewis Knight of the Good Smile Racing team in the Nissan GTR. Looks to hold on to the crown this season, and it's gonna be a hard one. He has shown his pace. He holds the crown, but got the target on his back, the size of the moon, that even Optimus 2 wants to go after it. He is gonna be fighting his way to the top. So far, Christian Finger putting in the fastest time, and right behind him, the South African Ulrich Diago, the Griffin Sim Racing team, looking to fight their way to the top. Now, to everyone joining us out in the virtual grandstand, out in those VIP seats, out with those incredible supporter flags here at Indianapolis from around the world, a welcome to you all. We've got Duke saying how's it, Ruin Heineke we'll see out on track. We got Antonio Gamble going and returning and saying how's it everybody. Jason Farmer, my boy, and go Griffin Sim Racing in smaller caps. You always can tell who's the biggest supporter when you see the caps, whether it's up or down. It's like whenever you listen to rock metal or metal music, they're always singing in caps. They're not singing in lower cases. But Turner Gamble saying how's it and welcome. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a great one. Ulrich Diago holds on second. Rich Van Heerden down in third place with his Ferrari 296, hoping to get a little bit more underneath him. The times are close at the moment. That was their first full flight lap, and they're hoping to get that a little bit quicker. They will get that a little bit quicker, and this is our gold division. We've got 3 divisions across 7 rounds here in Server 1. Gold, Platinum, Diamond. What does that mean for anyone that has just joined the ERA? Looking at what's happening here, as we do see Ulrich Diago puts himself up into first. Finley Gamble jumps up into second. Nico Lawrence goes across the line, puts a fast lap with a 136.9. But Platinum is our Pro-Am, Gold is our Am division, and Diamond is our Pro division. In Server 1, we do have Server 2 running at the same time as Server 1, battling it out and seeing who's going to be at the top. So 6 different servers. Doesn't matter if you're new, old, veteran, or just starting in sim racing, there is everything you want to be here at ERA. Now let's take a look at the times. Hunso Floss out at the top with a 136.905, and it's crucial to put the extra little bit there because 8 tenths behind him is Nico Lawrence with a 136.987. Ulrich Diago up into third. Richard Van Heerden along with Finley Gamble, Nicholas Porras a little bit further down, Lewis Knight, El Perry, Christian Fengler, and Sean Young out at the back at the moment. They got 3 minutes and 13 seconds left. Each class has 10 minutes for qualifying. Each class only have 10 minutes to stay at the top before they land up having our Platinum and Diamond go out, which goes and mixes up the field. It mixes up the drivers, and we get to see who sits where in outright pace. And that does change things as well, as there's a lot of crucial details that comes into starting here at the legendary circuit of Indianapolis. That turn 1 is incredibly sharp. Nico Lawrence up into second, Gamble into third, and you can see entering turn 1, it is an absolute monster. Turn 2, a long left-hander that keeps going. And turn 3 is a long right-hander, double apex to push through into 4 as you keep the momentum. So all about throttle control heading into the Roval. Momentum is key right the way through. You do not want to get caught out. You do not want to have a problem. and it's good to see so many drivers out there. Now, do want to point out we've got some incredible support coming in. One for our new driver in Server 1, Sean Young, who's holding a good run at the moment. 10th overall and lies with a 138.0. So trying to get the grips with the car. Right behind him in shot, we saw Al Perry. There he is. He's 9th at the moment with a 137.4. So right from first all the way to Ulrich de Jager. Sorry, Lewis Knight holds a 136. The rest of the field so far on 37s, except for Sean Young at the moment. And it's good to see the drivers going and pushing as hard as they can. Richard hoping to really keep it all together and see if he can really start moving up through the order. He's in 8th at the moment. Hanso Voss is the driver to beat. Christian Fengler, take a look at the time, was 0.015. That got quickly beaten out by Finley Gamble. He was able to jump up through the order. Nico Lawrence only 2/10 behind Nico Lawrence. Richard up into 3rd. 3:10 Salford. Hanso Voss comes and fires back with a 136.4 in that Mercedes, but for 45 seconds to go, it's all or nothing. Ulrich de Jager parked it in the pits early, said, nope, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to just keep an eye on my time. Sean Young doing exactly the same thing, allowing the rest of the field to give it that little push. Lewis Knight, not having a comfortable run, is down in 5th, looking for every bit of grip this car can give. Every little chance to move up the order is going to be a tough one. And he's got Christian Fengler going and closing up in 6th place. Nico Lawrence pulls into the pits. He's done for his qualifying. 10 seconds to go. Drivers that are currently on their flying lap, if they can't get it right, they are out. Hanso pulls over. Richard Finley pulls over. Finley Gamble still keeps his foot on the throttle, trying to go that little bit quicker. Lewis Knight, Christian Fengler, and Nicholas Porras going and pushing that little bit more, trying to see if they can better their positions, trying to see what they can do right before our Platinums head out onto circuit and show what pace they have underneath them. Finley Gamble lying in 2nd place at the moment. This is going to be a good run for him as he crosses the line. Unfortunately, not able to improve through the final sector, is currently 2nd of our gold division. The only driver that can knock him out right now is Lewis Knight, who's trying to give it that one little push late on the brakes. Beautiful apex. Now just seeing with the Good Smile team, hoping to have a better smile. Pit lane is where he passed. This is into the final long right-hander, and it's all or nothing to get the momentum close to the wall. Lewis Knight trying to push that a little bit more. Can he get into the 36s? Lows, and does put himself to the top. Lewis Knight 0.003 ahead of Hanso Voss and managed to just pip 1st place in the gold division as our Platinums head out. I mean, these are absolutely monstrous. David Borschke now on the circuit along with Herman Whipner, the AAA, going and fighting it out. And if I remember Herman Whipner correctly, he's part of the Extreme Racing team. I'm not quite sure if he's still with the team at the moment, as he is an all-black car with AAA written on it, but it's good to see him out there and joining us on his debut. He's got Chris Beerminster right behind him, Extreme Sim Racing, going and closing up at a rate of knots, and will be looking to move forward. Chris Beerminster, his teammate, hoping to fight it out. Then we have got Rick Thomas, also from the Extreme Sim Racing, so the entire team making their debut here in ERA. Rick Thomas trying to really step up the pace and see what the McLaren can do. David Roth a little bit further down out in the Honda NSX, and one of my personal favorite cars, the V4 turbocharged, hoping to find out against the biggers. Lot and never too late written on the side of it, and that is absolutely key as we've seen David Roth go and fight out for the top. David Young a little bit further down in 24th position, hoping to move his way up, and joining them in the Platinum division is Andre Serodio from Project Vapors for the first time ever since I started commentary in sim racing back in 2020. I've always seen Andre Sorodio in a BMW, whether it's in LMU, ACC, or anything. This is the first time I have ever seen him in a mid-engine car. Even in prototypes, this man was not running any of it. He wanted to run a GT3 BMW, so it is a shock to see him in a mid-engine, and just a shock to find out that he's in a mid-engine. Sorodio slides the car out, loses that little bit of grip, returning. Don't worry, Sorodio, we just got the camera on you. Don't get cold feet right now. Let's see how it's gonna work. So, to also explain to you what's happening, the drivers have only got 2 sets of tires they've got for the entire race weekend. We talk about practice that we saw in the first 4 minutes before qualifying. So if you went out during that, you using your set of tires. You got qualifying, where you're pushing as hard as you can. That is your set of tires that you're on and for the race. So you have to be very mindful. What you do in qualifying may impact your race quite severely. David Borski, first flying lap, up into third. And then for the Saber Racing team, not going and fighting out too hard at the moment, but is really hoping to get this car right to the top, as David Roth, our defending champion, now up into first. David Roth for the Platinum and for the Fear of the Bones, going and looking to fight it out. He's looking for yet another win underneath his belt, and this little Honda, expect to see fighting against the pros. Our Platinums and Golds are not afraid to take it against the Diamonds every which way possible. David Young is ahead of Herman Whitner, and Herman trying to figure out where can find that extra little bit of grip in the Ferrari, trying to see what's going to work out for him. And here at Indianapolis, as Herman jumps up to second behind David Roth, a great time as David Bolsky holds on to 5th place at the moment. David Young down into 9th. Chris Biermeister into 11th. Rick Thomas down in 16th, giving it everything he's got. Another driver that's late to the party, but always ready to race. Chris Wall, sleeves off, in for the race, and now trying to make his way up through the field, trying to generate some heat into those tires of the Aston Martin, fighting fiercely with it, and is racing in our ERA Masters League. And he's been varying in a variety of vehicles. He's hoping that this season, right now, season 18, is going to be the best season he's ever had here at ERA. Well, it's going to be a lot of hard work, because long-term rival going and fighting out, Daniel Mutsuma, holds on to 24th position. This McLaren is a top-notch runner, and Daniel is not afraid to go elbow to elbow with the rest of the competition. He's going to do everything he can to stay at the top. However, he's got his competitors that are going to push him that little bit harder. Sorodio coming across the line, trying to set his lap time. Unfortunately, invalidated. So now he's going to have to go yet again. His last lap was 1:38.3, but it was invalidated. It didn't count for him, and he's going to have to try and get it all done again. Otherwise, back of the field. 1:35.7 to beat. David Roth holds the charge. 0.1 ahead of David Borski, who will be giving it everything he can do to move up. Herman Whitner, along with David Young, giving it everything he can. The Delta 1 Racing gonna be fighting out towards the top. David Young not gonna be one to lose out a little bit of time, and will be moving his way forward throughout the battle. The question is, can he keep up that pace? Holding on to 4th in class. Chris Biermeister a little bit further down. He's 10th overall, and a little bit further off his own class. He has got the AMs in front of him. Lewis Knight, Hanso Foss, Finn McGamble, Nico Lawrence, and Richmond Heath going and keeping ahead of him. Chris Wall, Daniel Mutsuma, the two of them going to be squaring off yet again at the moment, with Rick Thomas a little bit further down. Sorodia still trying to get a lap in, and so far it is going to be Borski's time to shine at this stage of the game. Currently up on his Delta, 0.1 up. Can he carry the momentum through? He is absolutely booting it at the moment. What will his first sector look like as he makes his way around the circuit of 37.1? That is his personal best. He's trying to give it everything he can. David Roth into the pits and will not be improving at this stage of the game with 1 minute and 53 seconds left. Our drivers in the Platinum Division looking to wrap up their laps, get themselves sorted, and to see where exactly they're going to stand. I do see that we got Super going and shouting out for our defending champion, Lewis Knight, who after got that top spot in the AM class, now sits 6th behind Andre Serodio. Got a lap in, a beautiful one of a 136.4 behind David Young with a 136.2. Brodsky hoping to get that little bit of momentum. Herman Whitner so far matching his deltas. No improvement as yet. Serodio 0.3 up on his time. Chris Biermeister matching his deltas along with Chris Wall, Daniel Mutsuma and Rick Thomas doing exactly the same. Match their deltas the whole way through. They've got to find that little bit of pace. David Brodsky pulls into the pits. Whitner still giving it everything he's got. Everyone dialing in that last little bit, trying to see where exactly they're going to get that push. If you're not up on your delta, drivers are opting to rather stop, get them into the pits, and not damage those tires any further. Remember, they've only got 2 sets to play with here, and you push yourself that little bit more. You go over your sets, you'll unfortunately hinder yourself in the race, as you're going to be slipping, sliding, hanging on for dear life, and if you got a puncture, well, you're going to be driving on it for a very, very long time. As Serodio comes across the line, unable to get a big improvement. He got a 136.1, very, very close to 135, but 4th place is all he can stand at the moment. On his tail, 7 seconds to go, and if you haven't crossed the line now, well, you best be settled in your position. Biermeister comes across the line, and our Diamonds will be looking to head out onto the circuit. So Daniel Mutsuma, Chris Wall, Rick Thomas, Serodio, all trying to get one more run, as we do see Rick Thomas come across the line. He's up into 14th and unable to really get the hammer down onto Chris Wall. We'll have to wait it out. He's ahead of Christian Fingler and 14th overall Serodio, and Whitner still giving it one final push to the wire. Herman hoping to keep it all together. 0.1 behind on his best lap time. Serodio up on his lap time. Daniel Mutsuma and Chris Wall, as we did see in shot. In our previous shot, we saw down pit lane our Diamonds starting to move. And that is going to be an interesting fight because, well, we saw a teammate battle. We saw a streak get broken in Season 17 on the final round at Bathurst. And now we've got drivers with a bit between their teeth to come back fighting. So Herman Whitner trying to improve. Serodio across the line. Beautifully done. Up into 3rd with a 135.8. And it looks like the Honda treating him well as our McLaren comes across the line. Daniel Mutsuma is comfortable in 7th. Herman Whitner comes across the line. No improvement. He's down in 4th. So let's talk about the fastest of the fast. And it's Sean Skitter out in 1st. He's out there on the Honda for the Logistical Nightmare Racing Team and will be cheered on. Also, shout out to Paul Fenter, part of the Logistical Nightmare Racing Team. It was his birthday this past weekend, so well done to old man Paul. He's now 999 years old, and don't worry, that walker is in the mail, and the check is on the way in the mail. Don't worry about it. It's posted straight to you. Just remember your P.O. Box number. Bego Krubler holds on and pushes a little bit harder. The Team Wolf dropping out of the Mustang this season, which he's been rather comfortable in, into something a little different, sliding into the BMW. Now, he's been giving some advice in terms of BMW setup. This is the first time Bego is in the BMW and going to be fighting it out in a very, very long time. The last time, if I remember correctly, that he was racing in the BMW M4 GT3 was when it first came out in a practice session. Ever since then, he's been testing things out. Kept quite comfortable with the Ford Mustang. Used to drive the M6 for a very short time and opted that was a bad cop. So nice to see him in something a little different, but sounding a little bit different as well. Jason Farmer out on circuit in the McLaren. So a bit of a change up for Jason Farmer. He's been practicing with a few different cars. Now in the McLaren. We've seen him in the Lexus. We've seen him in the Ferrari. This time going back to mid-engine and back into a McLaren, hoping that's going to help him out this season. Christoph Peterson returns, taking second in the championship, having his streak broken. 8 championships underneath his belt in a row, and it got broken. And now he returns in the Honda. This is when you know a driver is serious, because 2 cars worked out for this driver. Multiple championships, one in the Honda NSX. The second was the Ferrari 488. Drove the Mercedes that ultimately killed him in the hill of Bathurst, and now returns with a car that he's had far more success underneath his belt. Ruben Heineke down a little bit further, is out in his trusty old Ferrari 296. The Griffin Sim Racing team will be chasing down to see how far up the order he can get this time around. Beautifully set out and looking to fight it against the rest. Stephen Milano James rejoins us and looking to push a little bit harder. Mahath Musa returns in the BMW with Serodio and something different. Mahath Musa keeping to what he knows, and back behind the wheel. We've missed him. We've called for him. His team have called for him. Miles Stone returns to the field and looking to move his way up through the order. But we leave the best for last due to season 17. Your defending champion, Ernest Limburgs, out on the circuit. This time out in an entirely new car. He's been in a Ferrari. He's been in a Honda. He is now in a McLaren. Completely new to him, with a number 1 written on the side, saying, listen folks, I'm here to battle, and I am ready to take on the field to defend the crown. Limburgs will be pushing for the Fear the Bones and to go and start his own streak, but the target's on the back as Miles Stone currently leads out the Diamonds. Skitter in second place. Musa holds on third in the Diamond Division. Stephen Milano James getting ahead in the run. Limburgs down in 11th position, hoping to get a little bit more run, but it's Peterson at the top of the charts. A 135.3 taking the fight straight up to the top with his teammate, the defending champion, in third at the moment. David Roth going and holding second. 3 Fear the Bones drivers all together in the top 3. The question is, can that be broken? Well, Sean Skitter's trying his luck. He is going right behind David Rorschke at the moment in 5th place, picking up the pace. With 3 minutes and 40 seconds, it's all or nothing at the moment. Miles Stone going and having his ERA return to the circuit. Wonderful to have him here, and it's wonderful to see what he can do, but he's got pressure on him. Stephen Milano James up into 8th. Mahath Musa trying to give it a little bit more go. Jason Farmer down in 16th, and Ruben Heineke in 22nd position. So far, Lewis Knight holds 14th overall and first of his class. David Roth second and holds second overall in his class. They are absolutely giving it that big push. They're trying to see where they can go. No drivers holding it back, especially our Diamonds that are not wanting to get beaten out by our Platinum and by our Gold Division. Limburg's trying to find a little bit of time, currently matching his deltas. He was up in Sector 1, so far losing out in 2 and 3. Christoph Peterson holds top of the charts, comes across the line at 135.2 as he boots it through. What a time from him, just stretching that gap further and further in qualifying. Trying to see what he can do. How can he stay at the front? And who's ultimately gonna be number 1? Limburgs down into 3rd. Sean Skitter and Miles Stone trying to make their way through. Limburg's up into 4th. Skitter into 2nd. Logistical Nightmare Racing Team trying to close that gap and break the run of Fear the Bones at the top end. And that is going to help out Chris Wall a little bit further down, who will see his teammate able to try and help him out just a little bit, even if it's just a minute. Ernest Limburgs, unfortunately, in 4th place at the moment. Oh, drops a wheel out and just can't get it all together. The McLaren just not working with him at the moment. Milestone next to come across the line. An improvement on his time. Jumps him up to 3rd place. Miles not holding back. And it looks like, despite sitting out for a season, he is back behind the wheel, back pushing towards the sharp end of the field and seeing where he can go. Stephen Malone James losing out to Mahath Musa, who holds into 8th place at the moment. Malone James trying to give it that extra little bit of push, that extra little bit of zest to move through the field. Bago Krobler in 13th, keeps an eye on Jason Farmer, currently out on track, 0.4 up on his personal best. Ruben Heineke, 0.4 up on his personal best. There's still a lot of time on the board for these drivers to pick up. Despite saying 53 seconds, these drivers are giving it their last little push. Limburg's into the pits. He sets himself up for that 5th place. And it's Jason Farmer up into 8th, ahead of Mahath Musa with a 135.8. Peterson into the pits. Skitter comes across the line, holding on to 2nd, still giving it a little bit of go. He feels there's still a little bit in the tank. Milestone going to give it that extra push coming out of to the oval. A little bit of a run, short straight into the right-hander. Tightens up quite a bit underneath you. Down to 2nd gear when you make your way through. It's all about momentum at this stage of the game. Slotting your way around. Trying to feather the throttle through out the final corner. 0.3 up. He's going to give it a go. He's going to give it a go. And comes across the line. Milestone does improve with a 135.547. Slightly off Sean Skitter's pace, but gave it a great run nonetheless. Mahath Musa next to come across the line with a 135.8. Will hold on to that 10th place. Farmer still out on circuit. Ruben Heineke giving it his hard push, trying to see where exactly can he get out on top. But at the moment, the fight, Stephen Malone and James, who holds on to 2nd, down on his delta, deciding he's got to relax off the throttle, save the tires a little bit, and no need to go and push out a little bit more. He's already was off his delta. However, Sean Skitter is up on his delta. He's giving it that last little push. He's trying to give it that last little bit of beans. He's trying to give it everything he can as he comes out the final corner, slightly up, matching his time now. Will be booting it through. Is it enough as he comes across the line? Will hold on to 3rd place in class. Gave it that extra little bit of a push. Unfortunately, wasn't able to stand at the top. Ruben Heineke in 14th. Comes across the line. He does improve his time to a 136.2. So as we take a look back to the beautiful circuit of Indianapolis, getting ourselves ready for an incredible race, an incredible time, and round 1 of the ERA Sunday Championship, Season 18, and what a time to be alive. The widely anticipated, everyone chomping at the bit, new and returning drivers looking to stand at the top, to fight it out, teams to fight it out. And here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it is going to be the opening round. And now we are ready to have some fun because, folks, this is where things get rather interesting for our championship. Our drivers will be starting out with no success penalties. Now, for those that have been with us before, you know what a success penalty is. And for those that are new, and apologies for the menu popping up, you're going to land up seeing a bit of chaos coming through. But, as I say that, I do start to see something. David Roth, sitting with a 15-second penalty on his time. He's the only driver that's actually got a success penalty. But let me explain to you what this is. Success penalty works on wins and losses. So whoever wins the race in each class gets 15 seconds. Second place gets 10, and third place gets 5. What that does is it brings the pit stops into effect. It also bunches the field up. It causes the drivers to think a little bit more on what they're going to do. Who's going to be able to fight their way to the top? Who's going to stay at the top? And no matter what, it's all about the runs. Now, that being said, round 1, there is no success penalties. It does look like David Roth has got a penalty full stop and is out in 5th place. He's got 15 seconds on him, and he'll have to serve that during the pit stop. So he's giving a bit of a flash out there. And, sorry, that's Miles. Is that Miles Stone that's actually giving the flash? I do think that's Miles Stone going and giving a little bit of a hello to Stephen Milano James. And it's been a while since these two have crossed swords, and they will be looking to have a bit of fun. So if you're just joining us for the first time, massive welcome to ELRA. Welcome to Evolution Racing Academy Sunday Championship. Every weekend, we are going to be battling out with some of the best in the world across 2 servers. And whether you're a veteran driver, whether you're a newcomer, we've got everything for you. And this Sunday Championship is incredible because it does pit those drivers against one another. We do have our ELRA Masters League that is currently running, that tests the past and present champions up against one another in various conditions. But this is our full GT spec racing, and for the season is going to be a challenging one. With that being said, if you're returning, well, folks, you know what you're in for. You're in for side-by-side action. It's going to be an incredible one. But let's also talk about the race. One mandatory pit stop that needs to be served. In other words, you got to dive into the pits, put 1 liter of fuel in the car, but you have to get the car squared into the box. If you're slightly adrift, they pick you up, move you, put you down, and jack you up again. Pit stop doesn't count. You got to be mindful of that. They have 2 sets of tires, which they have already used one, and will be either starting on the race with a new set of tires or their set that they used in qualifying, and we'll have to see how that works out. It is a 1-hour race on a heavy degrading circuit, one that challenges. And if anyone casts their mind back to the early 2000s and goes back to Indianapolis in Formula 1, or go to any time our GT cars have visited Indianapolis in real life, the Pirellis, Michelins, and Dunlops have all been eaten alive at this Roval. It is one of the hardest hitting circuits out there, and our drivers know exactly that. They know what they have to do to stay at the sharp end of the field and how they're going to stay at the sharp end of the field. Now, taking a look at the drivers, Christoph Peterson leads out the pack in 1st place, came 2nd in the Diamond Championship in Season 17, has been chomping at the bit to restart his streak. He had 8 rounds in a row that got absolutely broken by his own teammate. He was let down through Skyline with his Mercedes. He threw that car away and used an angle grinder on it. He's now back in one car that has worked out for him. Christoph back behind the wheel of his trusty Honda NSX. Stephen Milano James will be in 2nd place, right behind and looking to fight his way to the top. And for the first time up on the top row in a long time, will be looking across to his right to Christoph Peterson. Sean Skitter will tail in on 3rd place. A logistical nightmare racing driver not going to be backing down. Milestone, upon his return after a long hiatus, has shown that he's ready to take the fight to the top. David Roth, a little bit further down, defending champion of our Platinum division, is holding on to 5th place. He's got a 15-second penalty, but we'll be seeing what he can do. Now, I do want to point out, I had a chat to David Roth at the end of Season 17. And this man is incredible because, while sitting at his table with his wheel clamped to the desk. Everything was vibrating because there was actually a bit of, how can I say, artillery outside that was giving him a little bit of a curveball. And it's good to have him back behind the wheel. But to go and race for a championship under artillery fire, I salute you, mate. That is a very, very, very difficult one to do. But he has got the defending champion in the pro class in 6th position. Ernest Limburgs will be fighting out David Brodsky right behind him. So Andre Sorodio, this first time out in a mid-engine car in ACC, will look to fight it out. Jason Farmer, Herman Whitner, first debut out here. He's got Mahath Musa for company, David Young, Chris Walt, Ruan Heineke, Bego Krobler, Daniel Mutsua, Lewis Knight, Hunso Foss, Chris Biermster, Finley Gamble, Nicola Lawrence, Richard Van Heerd on his return after having a monstrous crash. We'll be finding out Rick Thomas, Christian Fingler, Nicholas Porras, Ulrich Diaga, and we go through Il Perrier and Sean Young as we green for round 1 of the ERA Sunday Championship. Peterson holding the line, heading into turn 1 as they flock their way through. Stephen Llewellyn James stuck to the outside, but take a look at Limburgs up the inside. Limburg sent it. He went off circuit. It was contact further back, and it looks like it's just going all bad to worse as they file their way through. Skitter jumps up to 2nd, Roth up to 4th, Sorodio just getting ahead of him, and it was madness on the way through. Let's quickly go back and take a look at our helicam and see what exactly happened out there, as it was just bumper cars. It looked like David Roth got caught out, and it was just turned around through the field, everyone having to scatter, find their way through. Sorry, it was Miles Stone that got caught out, that little clip, and now down into last position. He held the brake until the field came through, but that took a number of cars out of position and going and throwing themselves a little bit further down. It does look like it has gotten into that yet again as Daniel Mutsua was off circuit. So while we'll keep an eye on that replay, another bit of chaos happened. This is from Daniel Mutsua's point of view. He's behind Ruan Heineke, trying to see if he can get on by. The late braking, Chris Waltz ended up on the inside of Jason Farmer. That turned him around and just created a huge Constantino effect. Chris Wall goes off, and that is just contact that spins him around. And unfortunately, David Brodsky looking at the field that came through. Daniel voiding with the chaos going and getting caught out. So, bit of wild moments off the start of the race. David Young trying to push a little bit harder and see where exactly he can stay in the run. Finley Gamble dives up on the inside of Nico Lawrence, trying to give it everything he's got. The Ferrari has the legs to leg it around the outside and manage to hold position. Nico a little bit further down than he planned at the moment. Hunter Foss up into 12th, leading out the field. Gamble in 2nd as they lead out the AM field. Christoph Peterson leads up the entire pack. He's got Sean Skitter holding on to 2nd place. Andre Sorodio in a huge run, and due to the chaos at the start of the race, is up to 3rd place, leading out the Platinum, and has got David Roth for company at the moment, trying to push his way through. He does see Skitter giving it everything he can, and David Roth hoping to keep the pressure on at the moment, seeing the chaos that was further down. Limburgs down into 5th, not quite happy with his start. Will be looking at trying to fight his way through. Stephen Lorna James, Mahath Musa, and Bego Krobler having a go. The 2 South Africans not having too much of a problem there. Jason Farmer going and keeping a little bit of damage on his car, but gremlin. So is Chris Wall, who's on behind him, trying to see where exactly they can get that extra leg of the run. Chris Wall getting the pressure from Ruan Heineke, who's hoping to get into the top 10 and assist his teammate. Has got Hunso Foss a little bit further back as they come nose to tail at the moment. Drivers, after having a bit of a chaos start, cold brakes, full tires, and unfortunately the ultimate loss going to Miles Stone, who is way down the order. Not exactly what he had planned, and just keeping a very, very close eye on one another, trying to see where exactly can they get that little bit more momentum. Rich Fanid gaining a little bit of time after his little bit of contact, goes around the outside of, that would be Sean Young of the Cyber Racing, and gaining a position. Young also just trying to keep his momentum up at this stage of the game. He was one of the cars that went venturing off into the dirt, and immediately has David Borschke going and figuring out his way around the two teammates, not arguing too much, and Sean Young getting caught out on his debut here in Server 1, not wanting to fight out with his teammate, and with a platinum division, keeps the momentum. Ulrich Diaga way down the order, joining up with Miles Stone, and you can see both of them miles off the pack. Excuse the pun there, but that is literally it. Very, very far off the run. Bego Krobler trying to carry the momentum through at this stage of the game. Looking in his mirror, Jason Farmer trying to close up the gap, but the fight for second place is on. Sean Skitter having a bit of a problem with Serodio getting around him, and now David Roth trying to see what he can do. So Sean Skitter had Serodio at the start, diving up on the inside, getting passes, and unfortunately losing a little bit of time, but now David Roth hopes to keep the pressure on. And the two Hondas knowing each other rather well, as we do see Serodio venturing off into the dirt, mowing the lawn a little bit there. They say the Hondas are great mowers. Well, David Roth trying to send it down the inside. Can he keep it all together? The two of them slowing each other up, and that's allowed Limburgs to get into the fray. So Serodio runs out wide. Roth gets on pass, defends the inside. He switches back to the racing line, and now Limburgs, who had that little bit of a gap, joins in for the trio, and looking to see where he can get involved in this fight, to see if he can get past the two platinum drivers and chase down Sean Skitter further up the field. Jason Farmer coming off second best. Something happened to him. Let's quickly take a look as he was fighting out with Bego Krobler. Went for the inside line, late on the anchors. The McLaren trying to get a better run. Oh, too much going in understeering. He was late on the brakes and, well, didn't quite work out. A little bang into the side of him from Bego Krobler has forced him further down the field, and having to see where exactly they get that run. So everyone still trying to, at this stage of the game, figure out what's going to be the better run, the better option, and quite a few drivers have already taken a lot of life out of their tires, and the question comes down, the pit stops. When are they going to come into effect? Rune Heineke onto the back of Chris Wall, trying to slice his way up through the field. He's got Bego Krobler further adrift. Now, Chris Wall is third in his class. He has got a whole lot of diamonds ahead of him, and before he even thinks about taking on Serodio and Roth, who are keeping a solid fight between one another, and we have got yellow flags, interesting enough. Nicholas Porras and Chris Biermeister looked like they came to blows, and let's quickly take a look back. And it looked a bit of a too early on that one. We're going to try and slide it back a little bit further, and hopefully let's see what we can do to give us a little bit more of a view on that one. Let's go back 30 seconds and see if that helps. Nope, that doesn't help. So the two of them made contact into the corner, unfortunately not able to show that impact, and unfortunately that is the two of them running into the back of one another, losing that little bit of time. However, it is a game, set, match at this stage of the game, trying to see where exactly they can move forward. Who is going to stay at the top? That is going to be a difficult one between them, and so far the race has not given up. Now we actually can get the replay. There we go. This is what I wanted to look. Oh, that unfortunately, the 74 going into the back of the 79. So that is Chris Biermeister, who outbraked himself, went diving into the back of Nicholas Porras, and that created a little bit of damage to his car. Both of them having a bit of pain on the way through. And Jason Farmer into the pits. First car in the pits, getting his car sorted out and that mandatory pit stop. David Roth and Sorodio keeping each other busy at this stage of the game, not wanting to yield as they continue the fight on. Christoph Peterson still leads out the pack with the fastest lap of the race. Now, why I mention this is because there's a very critical rule in the race. Not only it's about your finishing position within your class, but if you have the fastest lap of the race, you get one single point. Now, why do I highlight that? Championships from Diamond, Platinum, and Gold last season were separated by a single point, and it came down to that fastest lap in the race. And that is a crucial thing to remember. So if you can't go for an outright win, you can score yourself an extra point and become a very, very viable threat in this race. And we're getting word that Jason Farmer now rolling as he's completed his pit stop, got some repair on the car, but he is a lap down on the field and will be seeing where it comes out. The Griffin Sim Racing team is going to have to be very calculating here, but it is the only car in the entirety of the field that have done their pit stop and will be a marker for the rest of the grid to keep an eye out, as we do see Jason Farmer having a go. Bego Krobler got a little bit unsteady, and now here comes Chris Wall to try and clear past him. Oh, Chris getting unsteady. So is Farmer. That landed up in a sideways moment. Let's quickly take a look at what happened out there, as we did see Jason Farmer battling with his car. Chris Wall came at him, and it was contact between the two. 1-2, and both catching the slide. Ruben Heineke nearly got caught up in that mix and had to try and keep himself all together as his teammate slid across the nose. Now Chris Wall a little further down the order than he planned. He's got Christian Fingler next to gather up his thoughts and go on for the chase. Finley Gamble leads out the gold division. Hanso Foss and Nico Lawrence hold on for second and third. David Roth, Andre Sorodio, and Chris Wall hold on to the top three of our platinum. Christoph Peterson and Sean Skitter hold on for 1 and 2, with Limburgs up to third in class, hoping to stay in for the fight. Now, as we keep an eye, Heineke just narrowly keeping ahead of Finley Gamble, who holds on to that top 10. And that's why I said, don't count out our platinum and gold drivers. They will push that extra little bit. They will give it that extra little bit of horns to see where they can fight it out and move their way forward. However, it is game, set, on at the moment. It's not matched just as yet. I know you thought about it, but it's not, because anything can happen in motorsport, as we do see David Young creating a Constantino effect with Daniel Mutsuma, who's now got Lewis Knight and Herman Whitner all over the back of him. Herman looking down the inside of Lewis Knight, trying to get a little bit of a getty up and go, has got Lewis Knight just fractions ahead at the moment. And Lewis Knight, a good smile team, a defending champion in the gold. First time ever, I do want to repeat that, first time ever getting to slug it out against the Extreme Sim Racing team, Herman Whitner, who is going to be not only racing him, but I'm sure will be having Mini Boss that's in his house, going and saying, come on, get faster, get going, chase down, because David Young is up the road. He's giving it everything he's got. He's moving forward. Lewis Knight trying to hold it all together as Christian Fingler keeps the pressure on Chris Wall up ahead. So they have a beautiful train built up as David Broschke pulls into pit lane to get his pit stop done and dusted. 47 minutes left in this race. Drivers still have got a lot of time underneath their belts, as we do see yet another car diving into the pits, and that is David Young diving into pit lane, getting himself sorted. Daniel Mutsuma will gain a position. And that is an interesting call. We saw Broschke dive into the pits. We've seen David Young dive into the pits. We saw Jason Farmer dive into the pits. However, it is now a race to stay at the top. And the question is, who is going to stay out there? Now, I'm taking a look at the timing table, and we started with 28 cars. We're down to 27, as it looks like Jason Farmer has retired the car for whatever reason. Has retired the car, and that's Serodio! Andre Serodio losing the rear, and that unfortunately has thrown him down the order. He was fighting out with Roth. He was trying to hold on for that second place. He got tangled up by the looks of it with our McLaren, and did the Honda just snap out underneath Serodio as he swings the car into the right-hander and runs out wide. Oh, clipped the dirt, little bit too far, slides it out, rear tires, front tires, everything begging for mercy after that one. Ruben Heineke also landing into the wall. We have got mistakes coming out everywhere. Did Ruben Heineke face the same as the cars ahead of him? And right around here comes Ruben Heineke. Slips in on the way through. Clipped the curbing a little too much there. He's okay. It's still going. Where did it all go wrong? After avoiding his teammate, just ran wide into the dirt. Swings the car around. Just unfortunately clipping the wall. That dropped him down the order and into the pits. So Jason Farmer into the pits and out. Ruben Heineke into the pits and getting some repair work done to his car. Daniel Mutsuma out in the McLaren behind Christian Fengler, and right behind him Lewis Knight and Herman Rittner chasing each other down as Daniel looking to keep the pressure on. Daniel is hoping that he can just feed that pressure more and more onto Christian Fengler. I do want to also take my hat off to Daniel, as in the Master Series he's in a Porsche, something he never planned to be in, and he is having a bit of an interesting time learning it. But switching from the Porsche to the McLaren is described as a jarring run. It's like being on a roller coaster without the safety rails. It is just hold on, wait for whatever happens, and try and get the mindset of the two very different handling characteristics. And now he's behind Christian Fengler, who can make himself an absolute brick wall and wants to do so at the moment. He's fourth in class. Lewis Knight is trouble for him, and he can see Lewis a little bit further back. He can see that there's a problem coming through and knows that he has to hold Daniel back every inch, every mile, and every step of the way. Otherwise, he's going to land up in a world of problem. Herman Whitner, however, going and keeping an eye, clipping for content right now behind Lewis Knight, who's just waving, saying, come on, let's work together. Let's pull each other along here and see if we can get involved in the fight. Let's see where exactly we stand through the field. El Perry and Rich Finieta also closing up on one another, trying to get a little bit closer to Serodio, who earlier landed up going and seeing the back. But let's talk about one car that got slammed to the back. That's Nicholas Porras, who's on to the back of Sean Young, trying to see where he can move forward. And down in 27th position, done his pit stop, and was a car involved in turn one incident facing the wrong way through the grid. That's Miles Stone trying to see where exactly can he move up. David Young leads out those that have done their first pit stop, followed by Ruben Heineke, David Borski, along with Miles Stone. Daniel Mutsuma once again takes a look down the inside, not close enough to capitalize, waits it out behind Fengler, seeing where exactly can he move forward. The only other fight further up from them is Nico Lawrence, who's keeping an eye on Finley Gamble. The rest of the drivers well over 2 seconds ahead of one another, and just trying to see where exactly they filter into this race. Where exactly do they stand? But our leaders already trying to slice their way through the field, trying to see where exactly they're going to find that little bit of drive. And on Indianapolis, a difficult internal section where you just got to play for leader, get the momentum diving onto the oval, or down the incredibly long straight on the inside of the oval is your main passing zones. Everywhere else is risky, where a lot of drivers work on engine braking, as we do see Daniel Mutsua trying his luck down the inside into turn one. Didn't work out, and this is what I was alluding to. The moment you try and get that pass done, where you rely on the circuit to slow you down due to the change in camber going and helping you out, this is incredibly flat into the oval. So if you can't make that pass. It hurts. Daniel Mutsuma nearly into the back of Christian Fingler, who stops it dead on the apex. Herman Whitner tried to clear on by, couldn't quite get the run. Now Christian Fingler, once again, fighting out with Lewis Knight. Lewis allowed Daniel and Herman to get away from him at this stage of the game, not wanting to push these tires, but at the same time, allowing these two to fight it out and also possibly move Christian a little bit closer or move him way off the racing line. Unfortunately, Whitmer going and fouling up Lewis Knight on the exit as he has a terrible run. Now Lewis Knight back on him, keeping the pressure up, trying to see where exactly can he move forward, where exactly can they get that little bit of time to carry on the race. Nico Lawrence fights out for third in the gold class. He's got Hunter Foss in second. Finley Gamble up the road in first. But at the moment, dominating run. Miles off the rest of the field. 4.5 seconds up ahead is Christoph Peterson. He's ahead of Sean Skitter, former teammate of the Logistical Nightmare Racing team, but also friends with one another, as we do see Skitter getting a little bit close to the grass there. He's holding on second. First in our Platinum class, David Roth, keeping the momentum up. He's got Ernest Lindbergh's trying to gain a little bit of time, as we do see Lewis Knight into the pits as we head to 39 minutes of this race left. And drivers starting to feel that little bit of wear and tear that they had early on in the race. So a bit of understeer starting to be picked up every so often, and you can see the drivers venturing a little bit more into the dirt. Nico Lawrence looked for the inside of Hunter Foss, couldn't get that pass done. And Finley Gamble up ahead of them will be keeping a very close eye in the mirrors, going and smiling big time, because this is exactly what he wanted. Lawrence and Foss to duke it out no matter what. Hunter Foss, this is a new car for him out in the Mercedes, and Nico Lawrence in the McLaren is a new car, with Chris Wall going and making up some time in the Aston Martin Old Faithful, trying to close up the distance. He's brought Ruud Heineke for a bit of company. Ruud Heineke lap down, will be just keeping an eye as with Nico Lawrence down the inside. Side by side they go. Who's got the straight line? As it's going to be the likes of Lawrence and Foss trying to carry the momentum. At the moment, Lawrence had the momentum. He holds the inside line. That forces Hunzo to go around the outside, and Chris Wall ducks it in, gets it hooked, says thank you very much. Heineke tried to look to get in there, a little bit on the greedy side, but backed out of it. Rick Thomas and El Perry pull into the pits, seeing how exactly they always move up. How they going to see the pit stops coming into play as they make their way through, and we have got another problem. There's Mutsuma, and it looks like it was contact against Christian Fingler. The two of them coming to blows. Let's quickly take a look at what happened. So, in through the long right-hander, Daniel tried to get the inside, understeered, clipped Christian, who landed up able to get going. Daniel, however, landed up losing a mile of time and falls behind Chris Beermester, down in 17th position at this stage of the game. And a little bit too late on the brakes here. Unfortunately, they understeer, taking him into the side of the car. Herman Whitner into the dirt, and that is a bit of an interesting moment for Herman. So let's go back a little bit and find out what happened to him, because he had Andre Sorodio for a bit of company. Herman trying everything he can to keep the momentum up. Remember, he's got damage on the car from a previous incident. Hard onto the brakes, slings it through. Both him and Sorodio looking pretty clean. Sorodio does close up the distance, looking around, and it just looked like that Ferrari just stepped out underneath him after clipping the dirt. He was able to save it and get going and try and minimize that time lost. However, he's got Rich Fittihid, who's on the back of him, and Richard, after the return, is not looking to hold back. He has got a fight on his hands as he is caught up. He's got David Rorschke, who is a lap down, looks on the inside, going over the curb. Miles Stone joining in. Miles trying to gain a position. This is a fight for position, 27th and 26th place. Miles Stone, David Rorschke, keeping the fight real between one another. And at the moment, Miles just not having the run. David guards a line and is absolutely making dead sure that there's going to be no way for them to lose out. As Limburgs gains a position over David Roth. The two of them going and trading places. Roth has got a 15-second penalty, and that is something we do need to bring up because Chris Wall will be keeping a very close eye on that. El Perry going and losing out to Ruud Heineke. He moves out for Hanso Voss to come flying on through, and now has to try and defend against Rick Thomas, who takes the inside line. Extreme Sim Racing trying to fight out with El Perry, who's not going to be going and giving him an easy run. Not going to be a gentleman there. Hanso Voss into the pits, deciding he's not going to be losing too much time and going to be seeing where exactly can he keep the momentum going. Where can he get ahead of David Young up into 21st and first of those that have done their pit stop. That is critical now, and everyone through the field will be keeping a close eye on that very fact. They do not want to get caught out. They do not want to run into a problem. Chris Buurmester and Ulrich Diaga both retaliate in kind to try and close up the distance. Miles Stone, unfortunately, turned around again and pointing in the wrong way. He was fighting with David Borski, and it looks like another mistake coming through. And let's quickly take a look. Dived down the inside, got the pass on the McLaren, jumped over the curb, and that's all she wrote. A little too tight into turn one, and a little bit turned over on the way through. And that is all she wrote for him. Trying a little too hard and having to bring it back into the pace. Hanso Voss trying to get out ahead of the pack. Is it enough to get ahead of David Young, who's gunning his way through the final section? There is the entrance to pit lane. Hanso Voss, who pitted, trying to get a little bit of clearance ahead, still waiting to get on the loud pedal. Christoph Peterson pulls into the pits, relinquishing his lead of the race to Sean Skitter, and Limburgs up into second. We'll be keeping a close eye on what Peterson does. They haven't talked to one another, but they do keep, well, their plans close to the chest. It's all about that poker face. Who can stay up ahead? And sometimes, despite being in a team, you tend to feed some wrong information. You know, you forget a thing or two, or mention that you got more fuel than you actually do. There's a couple of different unique tactics we've seen over the years here in ERA that teammates get to fight out with one another, but also we got to mention that there is a vast amount of drivers that are all sitting in a voice channel with direct comms with one another in the Discord itself. So they are talking to one another, sharing a bit of info, and also keeping each other company. So as much as this is a solo drive sport with a little bit of team aspect mixed in, there is a whole lot of community that is piled in as well. Christoph Peterson leads out those that have done all their pit stop, with Chris Wall now into the pits. He's trying to get ahead of David Young and hoping that's going to help him out to move up through the order. This is Herman Whitner all over the back of Christian Fengler. The two of them, first time they're crossing swords, the Extreme Sim Racing team. You're fighting out against the Track Tool team that has been a dominating force in the AM division and in the Pro-Am. The Track Tool team have been fighting out for a long time, and seeing what they can do. You'll see a variety of different colors that come from them as well, as everyone looks like they picked one, and that's the DeVault tools. They used to have Bosch, DeVault, and a variety of others. Looks like they've settled on DeVault, maybe because all the batteries work with one another. Maybe Ryobi will be shown on the colors. Who knows? Who knows? Bago Krobler into the pits, and while these two fight it out, take a look. Rich Vanieta trying to keep the run as he's got David Borski looking down the inside, late on the anchors. Not going to happen there. Richard is a lap ahead, and he is not going to stress about David Borski. One thing we know about Richard, he's more than happy to fight with anyone on circuit. A race is a race. It doesn't matter where you are, and he's going to be doing exactly that. However, it can compromise his run as he's looking further up the road, trying to see where can he catch up to Andre Sorodio and David Roth, who currently holds second and third in the Platinum division. Christian Fengler, third in his division, has got Herman Whitner right behind him. And Herman trying to see where exactly they can move forward. Where can he get that pass on Christian Fengler? And every time he tries to go a little bit later on the brakes, it's just not working out underneath him. And having to try and see the next move. Christian with a solid defense at the moment. Mike Musa and Stephen Milano James join each other up in 4th and 5th position, fighting in class, 3rd in class. Musa dives down the inside. Can he get it done? Oh, understeer kills him off. Bumps into Stephen Milano James. A little bit of a, hey buddy, that's not how we want to share paint. Yes, you've got different colors, but I would not like to have my Ferrari SF26 colors. We will get the liveries on these cars. Sometimes Awesome Sim liveries doesn't quite work, or even how they loaded into the files doesn't quite work, but we will have everyone with their awesome liveries coming on for round 2. So don't forget, don't worry, I remember it. I also don't like seeing carbon fiber cars just blasting around the circuit. Now, we have got an interesting chat because we also have Henry Platt, who was meant to be racing tonight and will be back next week. He's keeping an eye on his fellow South Africans and going to be driving in the BMW. He's also racing in the Master Series, keeping an eye on his competition. David Roth, Limburgs, and Skitter, who currently hold on to the top 3. Mike Musa, Stephen Milano James, holding 4th and 5th overall. Finley Gamble up into 6th, as we do see an interesting pull into the pits. And David Roth continues on. Limburgs deciding this is a react. He thinks that he has enough time to get ahead of Peterson. Remember, he's the defending champion here. Everything to play for. And at the moment, Peterson has got the fastest lap. So he has got 1 lap on the cards ahead of Limburgs. Now Limburgs needs a victory to get ahead of Peterson. Needs to get that little bit of momentum. And it looks like possibly, depending on how well his pit stop goes, he may have that opportunity. Finley Gamble pulls into the pits, relinquishing his lead in the gold division to Nico Lawrence, who's got a bit of pressure on the back of him. He's trying to see with Rern Heineke, who's a lap down at the moment, eyeing it out, trying to see, can I get past? Not quite just as yet. Going to keep a very close eye on the situation either. Not wanting to be caught out. Finley Gamble, Ernest Limburgs, Herman Whitner, Rich Van Heat, all pulling into the pits, all reacting to Christoph Peterson, down in 14th position. Vega Krobler in 15th. David Young in 16th. Hunter Voss in 18th. And as the classes are incredibly close in times, a 135.2 is the fastest lap of the race by Christoph Peterson, who's now starting to jump up through the field and is up ahead of Limburgs. So the momentum carried him through. Limburgs trying to exit pit lane, and it is a slow crawl to pit exit, especially when you have your teammate come barreling past you and a fighting champion looking to get the bit between his teeth. That rejuvenation on trying to restart his way to the top now carries on. Sean Skitter dives into the pits. David Roth up into first. 20 laps into this race thus far. Tires will be ailing hugely out here. 27 minutes left in this race, so there's still plenty of time. We well over the halfway mark, as we do see Finley Gamble returning on circuit. It is a difficult pit lane because you're coming out towards the racing line, and you've got to get yourself fired up so early on to get the momentum. Nico Lawrence, once again, another lap in, keeping ahead of the pack. Rern Heineke takes a dive down the inside into turn 1. Nico Lawrence not fighting him out there. Says, sure thing, don't worry about it. I'm going to keep the momentum going. And right behind him, he's got Daniel Mutsuma, the proper racing, right on the back, eyeing out. Remember, unfortunately for Daniel Mutsuma, he is further down the order. He's in 20th, and he is trying to make up the run on Rern Heineke, who's just got that pass all hooked in, and he's got Rich Van Heet starting to close up that distance as well. So it's all about that momentum, but also you're not wanting to be held up by the cars that are a lap ahead of you, or for back markers that can absolutely compromise your race and land you running further adrift. Sean Skitter standing on the gas, trying to exit pit lane ahead of Limburgs, who dives into turn 1. These two are going to be close with one another. Peterson jumping up in towards the lead. He's up into 5th. And now, with the 4 cars ahead of him, needing to pit, David Roth dives into the pit lane. Remember, he's got 15 seconds. He's going to tumble down the order as Mahath Musa now takes over the lead of the race, racing until that fuel light comes on, stays on, and eventually turns off because it gets sick and tired of the driver not looking at it. It will go and dictate what happens out there. Mahath Musa going the long run, full tank, to see if that helps him out. Nico Lawrence doing the same thing, trying to stretch out that tank a little bit more, knowing that Christian Fengler has just exited pit lane. As Daniel Mutsma clean past Nico Lawrence, a little bit of a lift, allowing him to go through. And it is a fight between the Track Tool team for the top of the gold division and seeing where exactly they can come out. Finley Gamble into 10th. Sorodio into the pits. Roth into the pits. Peterson comes barreling his way through. He's going to be gaining a position here. Going to be more than happy. David Roth trying to get out. And there is the difference between pace. Flat out at over 200 kilometers an hour down the main straight of Indianapolis and on the oval versus 50 to 60 kilometers an hour in pit lane. And it is a slow walk with those amazing engines come barreling their way through. The symphony of our GT3 cars can be absolutely fantastic, or it can be a nightmare. Mahath Musa dives into the pits with 24 minutes left in the race. Nico Lawrence is going to be the next one considering his options and comes barreling his way through. He sees Christian Fengler further up the field, and he's instead going to keep the charge on. Now for Nico Lawrence, this is a great moment for him to move forward. He dives into the pit lane as well. He says, okay, got it done. Let's get it sorted. Let's carry on with the race. But it did see his competition further up the field, and he's more than happy with it. 50 kilometers an hour in through pit lane. Christoph Peterson making his way through. From 3rd, will be jumping up into 1st. See, Mahath Musa is still in the pits, trying to get himself sorted out, and Christoph going to be more than happy with that. As Musa waits down off the jacks, gets on the throttle pit limiter immediately as here comes Christoph Peterson. He had a dominating lead prior to the pit stops, and this is going to help him out as he comes barreling his way through. Richard Finneid down on the jacks as he's getting himself sorted. Actually, no, not down off the jacks. He went on the jacks. He's down in 27th. He got himself towed. And that is an interesting one for Rich Finneid, who got himself towed at this stage of the game. Let's see if we can go a lap back. And it was possibly a disconnect that took him out. So he had a disconnect in the race, and that threw him down the order. A shocking development for Richard, who was so far up the field and doing rather well. Unfortunately, not having it going his way, and he is in pit lane after disconnect. This is Lewis Knight at the moment, as we couldn't quite get back to Richard due to that disconnect. And there he is, dropping back into the server. So disconnect, throwing him out of the top 15 into last place. And let's see if he can get that car rolling yet again to be part of the race. A bit of a gut-wrenching blow for him at this stage of the game. And we'll be thinking, okay, back to square one. Yes, not what I wanted to have, but he will be having a very long time as the sim holds them back that little bit. Holds him back for nearly 3 minutes. Then rejoins. Your controls are all locked. You're sitting there standing on the throttle, but nowhere to go. As Andre Sorodio and Herman Wepner join each other out on circuit, the two South Africans. Now, once again, doing what they can. Christian Fengler visiting the dirt as he's feeling the pressure from Ruben Heineke and Daniel Mutsuma on the back of him. Al Perry has got Chris Beermister along with Rick Thomas, Ulrich Diaga, Milestone, and Nicholas Porras trying to get that little bit of momentum. And so far, a few drivers starting to feel it. Christoph Peterson, Sean Skitter, and Limburgs hold on to the top 3 overall. And in class, Mahath Musa looks to join into 4th place with Stephen Milano and James ahead of him. And Stephen is not going to back down from a fight. More than happy to go elbow to elbow out on the circuit, and we'll be seeing what he can do to stay at this stage of the game. Leading out our Platinum division is David Roth, with David Young and Chris Wall running in the top 3, and Chris trying to close that gap to David Young. 0.8 of a second, can just see him, can just reach up, but just hasn't got that momentum underneath him to catch up to the Ferrari, and will be frustrated at this stage of the game, and will have to roll up those sleeves, going and getting himself sorted out. Finley Gamble, Nico Lawrence, and Hanso Voss run with our top 3 in the gold division. With Hanso Voss, who was one of our earlier pit stops, now seeing the back of Nico Lawrence's car, will be wanting to gain a position and go on the hunt further up through the field. And I do want to point out to a driver that despite the disconnect and is 3 laps down on the rest of the field, Richard back out on track and is gonna see it through to the end. Absolutely wonderful. And well done. I always say it's all about, if you see the green, you gotta see the checkered, as we lose yet another driver out on circuit, down to 26. But for those drivers that are out of the race, we do want to see you get back, because the most critical thing about any championship is crossing the line, going and seeing it through to the very end. That's going and pushing yourself beyond it all. Even with the highs and lows, you got to make it count. You got to be out there. And here at Evolution Racing Academy, that is the goal. Despite the times that you get knocked down, despite the times that you get told, lay down in the sand, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you get yourself back on the track, and you see it through to the end. And doesn't matter where you stand, first or last, the only thing that is crucial is green to checkered, because that shows the absolute drive of these competitors. It shows the resolve of the competitors, and we are witnessing these drivers giving it all for round 1 of season 18 here in server 1. From our gold to our diamond, it is everywhere. A fight ongoing. Take a look at this one as Finley Gamble leads out his own class, looks in his mirrors, sees David Young and Chris Wall behind him, fighting his way through. And even with competitors that are down on their luck, they're back behind the wheels. They're pushing as hard as they can. And I've got to say, it's incredible to see everyone pushing their way through. And I also want to point out, in fact, a couple of drivers that know that all too well. Peterson, who had the crash in the final race, broke his streak. 8 championships gone. Lost it to Ernest Limburgs, who tenacity alone put him back towards the top. Sean Skitter has been taken out more times than I can count on my 10 fingers and 10 toes. On my missus' 10 fingers and 10 toes, this man has had the worst luck I can ever think of, and still keeps going. He's even gone and hit the wall more times than his teammate that is nicknamed the Wall. He is going and pushing out a little bit more. Lewis Knight, who had his championship at Brands Hatch robbed from him by a single point because Podium Hill. That's all I can say. Because Podium Hill at Brands Hatch gone and took it away because he just couldn't get the gearing right. Pushed on. It's all about seeing it through to the end. So this is my challenge out to those drivers that have left. Those drivers that have given up. Well, this is my challenge. Jason Farmer, I know you're not going to listen, so I'm going to talk to Antonio Gamble. Mr. Gamble, we got to see Jason Farmer back on the circuit. We got to see him through to the end. There's no way that you're going to have an accident and quit. No ways! So we're going to tell them to get back on the track and everyone in our virtual grandstands are going to call for it. There's a shout out for it because this is the race. This is round one. This is your mark here at the beautiful circuit of Indianapolis, the home of champions that has built legacies. It's built drivers. It's put them to the top. But it's also one of the most testing times out there. David Young, Chris Wall keep each other company. Finley Gamble. Oh, Finley gets clipped by David Young, and that just turns it around. Chris Wall comes barreling past. David Young's waiting, and that has just cost Finley Gamble. I was talking about the circuit can throw curveballs at you. Nico Lawrence sees the leader of the gold division now turned round and lost. And that's going to allow Hanso Foss to join him for second place. Finley Gamble rejoins in third with 15 minutes to go. Has got to put his foot down to the floor. Chris Wall managed to get past David Young without too much of a fight. But now it's game on. Lewis Knight in fourth. Now sees the top three within hand's reach. He's going to push that little bit more, trying to see what he can do. And this is the train that is built up. And we cannot count out the South Africans that are fighting themselves. Sorodio, Wepner, they're having a go. Rich van Eed, who's laps down, wants to be part of this fight. He's going to push her even harder to see if he can do it. Daniel Mutsuma and Christian Fengler, two of the hardest defenders I've seen. They're going at it with Daniel getting the run on Christian Fengler. Christian in the gold division, not wanting to lose out that 16th position, will be on the back of him with Ruben Heineke on the back of him. Heineke has been at the top of the field and the bottom of the field throughout many seasons, and this time he sees Christian Fengler and goes, hey, I remember you, and I'm going to give you gears all the way to the bank here as Christian gets a little bit out of shape in the corner, trying to outbreak Daniel Mutsuma. Rick Thomas on his debut, getting overtaken by Miles Stone, is not going to be caught out. Miles on his return after a long hiatus from ERA now looks to move his way forward against Ulrich de Jager, who landed up with a problem early on in this race with Miles Stone. It was part of that turn one chaos. Nicholas Porras out on track, giving it everything he can to close up the distance, seeing where exactly can he get involved in the fights. Where can he make that little bit of time? Mahath Musa onto the back of Stephen Milano James, the Project Vapor driver, going and giving it his absolute all. And Stephen Milano James, watching the mirrors, a little bit wide on that exit, holds on for fourth and looks to see Musa trying to capture some points away from him, trying to see where he can pull him into the mix. But the fight for our gold, first and second, right on top of one another, still giving it that extra push, that extra run, and Hanso Foss going and battling it out as they enter the oval yet again, with Nicholas Lawrence getting a great run in that McLaren, hard on the brakes as they swing their way through. This is the final sector, and it's all about momentum as you listen to the throttle inputs, late on the brakes, trying to sling it through, a little bit of oversteer kicking out on the car. Urban Whipner, not to be outdone by fellow South African, runs out wide. Ooh, a little too wide, very close to the wall. And Sorodio getting a good run out of the corner. Now looks to go for a defense, went to the inside. Whitler trying to go to the outside. Two of them side by side, late on the anchors. And it's a throwdown into turn one. Bouncing over the curb, Sorodio not as comfortable as he would like to be, and that's allowed Whitner to move up a position. And now Sorodio got to get back on that wicket, start a chase down, and see where exactly can he move forward, where exactly can he make it count. Ruben Heineke, who's supported by Chris Heineke, his brother, is now fighting out further up the field, trying to see where exactly can he stay at this stage of the game. It is just a race as Christian Fengler trying to keep an eye on it. Just ahead of him is Sorodio, who lost a bit of time, has got Daniel Mutsuma that's clear past him. Sorodio, unfortunately, a crucial mistake, visiting the dirt, now has Mutsuma ahead of him. That's a loss of class position and a huge send down the inside for Christian Fengler. He showed his intention. He was going to go down that line, try and make it stick, with Ruben Heineke keeping an eye, seeing the fellow South African there in front of Christian Fengler. Will be wanting to get past Christian, who's in a bit of sandwich. Oh, what has happened? What has happened? That is Christian Fengler, who disappeared, came back. He pulled a David Copperfield, and I think for Ruin Heineke, it was a bit of a moment to come off the throttle, find out where that car has gone. And unfortunately, for Christian Fengler, once again, getting a little bit of a disappearing act, and that has cost him championships in the past. Going and pulling a David Copperfield on himself, even to the point that he wasn't expecting his own magic trick. El Perry, Chris Biermester, Miles Stone, all on the back of one another. And Chris Biermester, first time fighting against El Perry. Miles Stone on his return, first time fighting El Perry and Chris Biermester. Keep it in close eye. Rick and Ulrich Diaga trying to get a little bit closer. Rick Thomas trying as well to see where exactly they can move forward. Who will be able to gain some time here as it's the final push down to the wire as we head to the last 40 seconds before we hit the final 10 minutes of this race. The final 10 minutes of round one to really make an impact. If you haven't got the fastest lap as yet in your class, well, it's time to make it stick, make it work, and see where you go. As it's absolutely mental trying to see who moves forward, who can charge their way up through the course. Stephen Malone James running a little bit wide. Maith Musa keeping him company. And with that beaver teeth, the big snout on the BMW is sniffing to see which type of fuel is being run in that Ferrari 296. As he is inhaling the exhaust fumes at this stage of the game. Stephen Malone James unyielding, not going and having a bit of a problem out there. But we just got word. It looks like Miles Stone may have just run into a problem. Miles Stone, on his return, may have just had a disconnect. No, not in the final 10 minutes. He's got to get that back in and sorted. He's got to get going. As Ruin Heineke, Christian Fengler against one another, Sorodio sees Daniel Mutzma, Herman Whitner up the road, David Young, Lewis Knight. It looks like we have just lost Miles Stone in the final 10 minutes of this race, and it's not out yet. He can still get back in. He can still claw back some points, and after having a race where even the knock cost him time, he still got back out on circuit to try push out a little bit harder to see where exactly he gets involved. This is not what he wanted to have, and unfortunately has bit him pretty hard. Oh man, Miles going and getting caught out, and it looks like he has disconnected. And I know that we got JJ Zimmerman that is sitting on pit wall going and keeping an eye. He's going to be going and scratching his head on this one, and will be going and having a chat to his friend, his teammate, to go and say, come on, let's get that car back out there. Let's get going. As Hunso Foss has a look on Nico Lawrence, diving down, and Finley Gamble trying to capitalize. Nico Lawrence gets a poor exit. Hunso Foss trying to go around the outside. Finley Gamble seeing where exactly can he get into the fight. Our top three of our gold on top of one another, pushing one another. Who's going to have the edge here as the rest of the field is a little bit more open? Well, this top three is fighting out for crucial points in the championship, and at the moment, fastest lap time goes to Christoph Peterson in his class, with David Roth holding the fastest lap time in the Platinum class. Nico Lawrence with a 37, Hunso Foss with a 36.7, and Finley Gamble with a 136.602. Finley Gamble holds that extra point for the fastest lap, but needs to get round these two. He needs to get back up, and after the contact, he doesn't want to be behind these two because it's going to cost him time. Maith Musa takes a run around the outside. Door to door they go. Stephen Malone James keeping his nose forward as they continue their fight through. Malone James ekes it out ahead of the BMW. The cutback from Maith Musa. Try to get it done. No room to go and give it everything they can. And unfortunately, not an easy run as we go on board with Stephen Malona James trying to hold that apex. Absolutely ruthless in slowing the car down, and it is Mahith Musa having a problem as he tries to close up that distance, tries to see where he goes, and Tim the cameraman going all over the show. Not quite what you want to do there, buddy. You want to try and see if you could stay in the run, and it's because the cameras are broken. Right, that's good to know. Mahith Musa holds on to 4th place. Finley Gamble getting the pass on Hanso Foss, and now looks at Nick Lawrence. Hanso actually miles back. Let's quickly go back 30 seconds to see that overtake. So Finley Gamble waits in. Nick Lawrence gets into the dirt. Hanso Foss looking to go around the outside. Sweeps back to the inside line. Couldn't quite get the drive. Late on the anchors. Swings it through. Goes out wide. And Finley Gamble nearly getting both. Hanso did not expect he had a snap oversteer. Brought it back just ahead of Lewis Knight. What a save. But now down into 3rd and looking at Lewis Knight, who's going and rubbing his hands together, saying, okay, now I've got a shot at the podium with Hanso just in reach. Gamble looking at 1st place as Nick Lawrence once again misses his brake marker. It is Finley down the inside, brutally looking to stand on the gas as it's side by side and sharing paint in the last 5 minutes in this race. These drivers is all out brawl. And do my eyes deceive me in the pit lane? No, they don't. The 474 Milestone is back in the server. He's back in the server. Will he get released to join the race to see it through to the end? Oh, and it's contact. Gamble and Lawrence. Gamble goes round, swings it round nearly into Lewis Knight on the way through. It was so close between them. And man, oh man, you couldn't get closer if you tried. Lewis Knight would have saw the absolute chaos and took a breather as we go in car with Finley Gamble. And let's see how this all went adrift. Closed up as Nick Lawrence got it offline. Went up the inside. Couldn't quite get the drive through. Leaned on each other a bit. A little bit of a love tap between them as you can see the contact as they entered the main straight. Now it's down towards turn 1. Pushing harder and harder to see where exactly it's going to gain some time. Rich Fanian and Milestone are in pit lane. Hopefully they can get those cars out. And it's going to be a big look down the inside. Late on the brakes. Sends it in. Clips the back. Turns around. Swings the car back. And there's Lewis Knight just in shot. And a very close call against David Young, who is currently 3rd in the Platinum Division. Don't know where our camera was there, other than lost, and very lost. We looked into the void for all of 3 seconds. David Young trying to give it everything they can. Rich Fanian and Milestone still in pit lane. Hopefully they can get those cars back out on track to see it through to the end. Come on, Richard. Come on, Miles. Get those cars out. Get it through to the end. You saw the green. You got to see the checkered. You got to do this, guys, to maximize every point, to be there in for the fight. Limburg's now on the back of Skitter. This is a crucial run. Skitter, who hopes to stay in the fight, is holding on to 2nd place with 2 minutes and 46 seconds remaining. A lap is a 1:36 around this circuit when your tires are worn. Now the drivers are doing everything they can to stay in for the fight, no matter through the field. Chris Biermister, El Perry, and Ulrich Diaga tailing one another. Pushing that little bit more. Looks like Milestone, unfortunately, out of this race yet again, going and getting himself caught out. As something that's gotten pointed out, what a 360 that was called out by Finley Gamble. But man, oh man, drivers are giving it everything they can down to the wire. So going and saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. Just trying to will Lewis Knight a little bit further up the field as Finley Gamble down into 13th. Knight into 3rd, looking at the back of Hanso Foss. Limburg's looking at Skitter as it's a mad dash down to the wire. It's a mad dash all the way through. Mahith Musa and Stephen Malona James for 4th and 5th. It is just wild in the Diamond Division. It is wild in the Gold Division. Voss, Lawrence, and Lewis Knight now all close to one another, trying to make the move. Rune Heineke, Christian Fengler, they're pushing a little bit more. Biermeister, Perry, Diaga, all in for that last little push. Rick Thomas trying to make his way by. Here comes our leader. Christoph Peterson is on the final lap, and he is just trying to cruise past. Ulrich Diaga took his foot out of it. Why? Why did you do that? To allow the leader to come through, but at the same time, he compromised his run on Chris Biermeister and class position. Al Perry further up the road. He was on that pace, but he backed off to allow the leader to come through to try and cycle his way up. David Young, third in class, trying to keep himself going, has got Lewis Knight, third in his class, with Hanso Voss within arm's reach. Every single one of these drivers would have been looted. One more lap. One single lap to get it right. Skitter and Limburgs trying to navigate their way through. They have got Nicholas Porras. The next car up the road they're going to have to clear. Will the back markers come into effect here? Will this be the telling effect? Skitter snapping across to the racing line. Limburgs saying, listen, buddy, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hold on the back of you no matter what. It is going to be a down to the wire. It is going to be a push down to the wire for our top three in the gold, platinum, and for our diamond. Limburg's trying to get the run on Skitter. Ducks to the outside. Trying to get the snap around. Ooh, trying to turn it in. Didn't expect Skitter to slow the car down too much. And that unfortunately has cost him time. As a leader, taking the first checker flag of the season, Christoph Peterson in for the win and maximizing all the points. Richard Vernier back out on track. We'll see it through to the end. There we go, Richard. That's what I love to see. Skitter in second. Limburgs in third. What a fight for them. Stephen Milano James keeping ahead of Mahayath Musa. As the two come barreling out down the main straight. Stephen Milano James fractions ahead of Mahayath Musa. David Roth and Bago Hrobla will make their way through. David Roth taking the victory in the Platinum Division. What a drive on his part, and what a fight to hold it on. Chris Wall will take second in class for the Platinum. Has kept a solid drive, had a few mistakes, but is going and giving his last push. But here is the fight down to the wire. Nico Lawrence, Hanso Voss, Lewis Knight, all over the back of one another. Nico Lawrence guards the line. Voss dives on the inside. He cut the corner even to try and get it done. Nico Lawrence holds the inside line. Lewis Knight trying to get on the gas, and it's a race down to the wire. Nico Lawrence holds the inside. Voss trying to go on the outside. Who's got it? As it come across, it's Lawrence with Voss drag racing through. Knight taking third. David Young takes third in the Platinum class. He's going to be happy with that one. What a drive. What a run. Finley Campbell finishes up in fourth. Herman Wepner, David Mutzler, Andre Serodio, Christian Fengler, Rune Heineke, Al Perry, Ulrich Diaga, Rick Thomas, Nicholas Porras. What a race. And man, oh man, my voice is shot. My voice is shot after that one. What a time and here in Indianapolis. And what an incredible race for the season opener here at the ERA Sunday Championship. And wow. This has turned into a big one. And as said by our drivers immediately after the race on radio comms, rivalries are heating up so early on. And drivers are throwing hammer and tongs at one another to get it done. And I have to firmly agree. What an incredible evening of racing. What an incredible showcase of talent so early on in the championship. And if this hasn't got you excited for what's coming, well, I don't know what will get you excited at this stage of the game. So a monumental run by our competitors as we take a look at some of the highlights of tonight's race, and we will gonna be in for a great one, and honestly a great one As Zimmerman going and pointing out, it's going to be Limburg's championship again. I don't think so. I think we're in for a stellar race in the diamond, in the platinum, and in the gold division. We're just going to see if we can have a chat to our drivers, hoping for them to have a chat to us, the first interviews of the season, and see who exactly will be at the top. But man, what an incredible race. What an incredible time. And I hope you had just as much fun as I did, because let's do that again. Let's ride it back. Come on, guys. Second heat. Let's go. 1 hour. Who says? Let's go 2 hours as we take a look towards the field. Now, we're getting a couple of drivers coming through, and the first one to come up to the podium after a very, very difficult race out there is David Roth. David, welcome to the commentary box, and let's talk about an incredible race. How are you feeling after that one? Victory in the platinum class, defending champion, having to really keep it all together.
I feel good about that, Steven. It was a really hard-fought race. With that 15-second penalty that I carried over from last season, I was kind of worried, but I just brought it out. Car felt good, and I felt good. So.
Now take us through the strategy planning, because you were the only driver with that penalty. What was your plan tonight to mitigate that, knowing the fierce competition now in the platinum class, and you've got a huge target on your back holding the crown in the platinum class?
I was just going to try to outpace everybody. I knew that I had it in me. Some lap 1 incidents made that a ton easier, but I was just going to try to outpace anybody, and if I had clear air, I was just going to keep running. That's really all there is to it. Once the tires started falling off, I went in to swap them out, and then I just kept on trucking.
Now, I've got to point out, Indianapolis, not an easy circuit, and I mean, these are some incredible competitors out there. How was it racing? First season, everyone trying to adjust to one another, some new names to the grid, but also on a circuit that if something goes wrong, it goes really wrong.
I mean, it feels good to be back. I love racing with all these guys. There's a lot of respect being shown, a lot of space being given in the corners. It's always a ton of fun. This track is pretty unforgiving. The end of that first stint, I was suffering a ton of pressure loss. To be fast in Sector 2, when you're cutting those S's, you end up losing, almost half a PSI if you nail it really hard. So I overpressured for the second stint, and car felt good.
And that being said, game plan for the season. I mean, this is looking to be quite a season for all classes, and your class in particular looks like it's going to be a challenging one.
Oh, yeah. No, this is a really good lineup, though. We got Kyle on me next. I'm pretty excited. It's one of my favorite tracks to drive. I love the flow. I'm very excited for the season. I think it's going to be really good competition. I just got to keep out driving these success penalties.
Well, an absolute dominant drive on your part. Before I let you go, to cool off after an incredible race and managing to finish 6th overall, first in class, any shout-outs you want to have to all the partners here at ERA, but also to all those out on the grid tonight, joining and fighting wheel-to-wheel with you. And most importantly, I think you can agree with me on this one, our virtual grandstand that was going absolutely berserk tonight.
No, I just want to thank everybody, all the staff on in ERA that keep all this flowing nicely. I want to thank everybody out on track. I love driving with y'all. And anybody in the grandstand that wants to get in on this, I say do it. Best time to start was yesterday. Second best time is now.
Absolutely love to hear that, David. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on first in class. And we look forward to hopefully having more chats like this in the very near future.
Thank you, Steven. Take care.
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. And that being said, we have got second in the platinum class. We've got Chris Wall joining us after a bit of a drive in his Aston Martin. Chris, welcome to the commentary box. And what a race out there. I think you've panel beaten the car a little bit, but the driving was all hardcore to the end.
Yeah, yeah. I was just about to say, if you were going to say congratulations for P2, I'll be like, just wait till the stewards have finished, because yeah, it wasn't the cleanest from my standards. I've not really had a chance to go back and have a look at that, but I know I was definitely at fault for the incident on lap 1. I don't even know who it is I hit, to be brutally honest. So I hold my hands up and apologise for that, and I will review it and reach out to whoever it was. So yeah. That is 2 Indy races, 2 podiums, but also 2 fault crashes on my record. So not off to a great start, but at least we've got something to learn from. Good fun though, good fun overall.
Well, it takes a lot for a driver to admit when something goes wrong. And it's a key factor here in ERA is re-looking and also looking at yourself. How was the race out tonight? Putting the incidents to one side, it was fierce competition right through the field, and you got to get involved not only with the diamonds having a go at one another, but you also got to see the golds having a go, and it just looked like everyone was on the same pace with one another.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think the bit that you're showing on, or you were just showing on screen now, where Hanzo Voss, Finley Gamble, Nico, those guys, we were matching each other for pace. When I was behind him, it was a debate as to whether I was going to box a little bit early and just take the tyre pain later on, and then a little battle with Dave Young in the second part of the stint. No, it was really good fun. Produces some great racing for the Open. It's a shame we've not got the stat grid we normally do see for the first race of the season. Hopefully things pick up for the next round and we see some more familiar faces back. But no, the racing was really good, as it always is, Stephen. It was good fun.
Game plan for the championship now, because it's on for a fight, and the competition looking rather fierce this season. What's your game plan heading into the next 6 rounds?
Well, I think based on round 1, there's no catching David. He's in a league of his own at the moment as far as Platinum's concerned, so it's second best really. But I know that we've got a lot of big hitters to come back into Platinum, so if I can be in the top 3 contention come the end of the season, I'll consider that a victory. Just hope that I have some good results along the way, and we've got Kyle Army up next. It's a good track, I love that one, but I think it's a driver's favourite, so that is wide open as well. And obviously the South Africans love that, and we've got a lot of South African representation in ARA, so that will bring in its own challenges for us British people.
Let's actually take a look at East London. It's a lot of fun. It's not on the sim, but it's well worth looking at. But final question from my side. Sleeves down or sleeves up tonight?
Sleeves up, mate. It's still April in England, so it's quite bitterly cold. Still sleeves up, mate. Maybe we'll see a sleeves off race before the season's done. We'll see how it goes.
All right, absolutely wonderful. Before I let you go, anything you want to say to the incredible drivers and teams we had here tonight, to all the partners here at ERA, and most importantly, the spectators out on the site? They were cheering everyone on tonight. It was mad out there.
Yeah, I'll say the same as I probably will all the time when I'm in here. Just like and subscribe to the stream. It helps get the ERA name out there. Thanks to all the staff, admins, everyone behind the scenes that makes the invisible clock tick that is ERA, and to everyone that turns up, participates, has a bit of banter in chat. You know, it all adds to the experience, and everyone plays the part. So thank you to everyone that is involved in it.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Chris Wall taking second place in class, provisionally in class at the moment, and still putting a sell stuff. Well done, Chris. Absolutely wonderful driving out there. And what an incredible race in our Platinum. And congratulations to all our winners. Third in Platinum has to go to David Young. Unfortunately, not here in the commentary box. But we're going to move on to our gold division before we move on to our diamonds. And what a race it was out there for our diamonds. But the bigger race was actually falling a little bit further down the field, and that was to our gold division, who were brawling left, right, and center. Third place in the class, and the defending champion, Lewis Knight, coming and having a chat to us here in the Indy box. Lewis, welcome to the commentary box. And man, oh man, you were in a fight of note. First of all, how are you feeling after that one? Because I don't think there was any time to breathe.
There wasn't. There was a lot going on constantly. There was way too much for me to keep track of. So a little bit tired after all of that.
take us through the race, because it looked like at one stage of the game you were just, I'm aiming for third, that's what I'm going to do, maybe second, let's see how it goes, but it just was changing left and right. How was the race for you out there on the track and versing the drivers?
I was just aiming to get it to the end. At the end there, I was pushing to try and catch Nico and Hanzo, and props to both of them, because they, I mean, from my position behind them, it was a bloody good fight to watch. It was just, yeah, I just aimed for whatever I could get here at this point. Any points are good points, in my opinion.
And every race is a good learning curve, and can you hear the smile on your face? A competitor first, a champion second. From your side, getting to go nose to tail, swapping it out there, and getting to see suddenly you're jumping up into third place, and first place is right there. What was rushing through your mind for that final little bit, that seeing that a couple of corners is a victory or a third at this stage of the game?
It was very much, I want these two to unfortunately have an incident so I could get past both of them, or to slow each other up enough that I could get by them, and they slowed each other up, and I just didn't have the run out the final corner. I think if I didn't mess that final corner up, I might have been a bit closer, but it happens. It always does happen.
It was a wonderful drag race. Now, as the defending champion, what is your game plan for the championship? Seeing and getting to feel the competition out there in the gold, where every millisecond counts between one another.
Definitely already learning who's going to be fun to fight with. I mean, Finley's going to be up there, I think. Hanzo and Nico are definitely going to be forerunners. I mean, even Fengler was doing well and holding people up with his defending. So I think gold is going to be you have to put the time in now. If you don't put the time in, you're going to fall back. It's going to be a lot of work.
Well, absolutely that. And I just want to point out that out in the grandstands, we got Chantel Soup going and saying, good job, cheering you on, got very excited. So definitely a fan out there keeping a very close eye on you. Anything you want to say to the drivers and teams that joined you out on the circuit, to all the fans out in the grandstand? And I can tell you that the first person that's going to be running and having a chat to you is definitely going to be Soup, and maybe a conk on the head saying, come on, you could have got the first there.
Obviously, all the drivers, thank you for, as always, putting the time in to come and race with us. It's always enjoyable. More people on the grid, and the closer the competition gets, the better the racing gets for the people to watch. The stewards, the staff, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this one after what I've seen from lap one. It's going to be a lot of fun to sort out, and obviously the guys that come to watch, we wouldn't be anywhere without you guys coming to support us and watch us. So yeah, thank you for coming along.
Absolutely wonderful stuff, and wonderful to see you fighting out for third. And I think you agree with me. Don't have a good smile. Have a great smile after every race.
Of course.
Well done, Lewis. Absolutely well done. Lying third in our gold at the end of Indianapolis. And that being said, we charge up to our diamonds. And man, oh man, we've got two interviews coming up that I'm quite excited for, because it is the previous champion for season 17 and the driver that has got a chip on his shoulder to prove since season 17. And let's bring in third place of our diamond, our defending champion, Ernest Lindbergs, who had that wild fight to the end. Mr. Lindbergs, man, oh man, how are you feeling after that race? Because it looked wild from our view.
Yeah, I am really sorry for that lap one. I kind of goldfished there, kind of zoned out on that start finish. I don't know what happened. Sorry if all of what happened in lap one was my fault. Yeah, I am terribly sorry. But other than that, I think this was like my best race, just consistency-wise. Like that second stint, I was just fully locked in, fully on fire. I haven't seen my laps this consistent since I have started racing. So honestly, all things considered, I am pretty happy with this result.
Throwing lap one aside, your race was just back and forward, trying to move up through the order. How was the tires feeling out there? Indianapolis is a difficult circuit. It's a tire eater. But you having to fight out for the championship as the returning first time returning champion here in ERA in the Diamond Division. There's a lot of pressure and everyone wanting to prove themselves against you. What was your game plan for the pit stops as well? Did you use the new set of tires at the start of the race, or did you use it for the second stint of the race?
Yeah, I started for on the used tires because my thought process is if I'm at the start, there's going to be a lot of fights. I don't really want to ruin my new set of tires. I'd rather save it for the second stint because it's usually the longer one as well. And yeah, talking about like trying to prove myself, not really. I'm in a new car, haven't driven the McLaren like ever at all. So I'm just trying out new things. Whatever happens, happens. Similar to my Lambo season, like I'm not expecting anything, and to come out in P3 just purely on pace, yeah, I feel really happy about that.
Well, generally, as a champion, people proving against you, and well, you proved that you got the pace in a completely new car. And I would say, where you said not expecting anything, well, looking at your race tonight, there's a lot of expectation of you got that pace, you got that consistency underneath you. A McLaren is not the easiest car to drive, but you managed to put yourself up there. You managed to take the fight, but that last lap against Sean Skitter, how are you feeling? Because that was nose to tail right the way through to the end.
Yeah, I mean, the moment I saw that I had the pace advantage, like I was slowly chipping away at that time, I was like, okay, maybe I can take him, maybe I can take him. And honestly, if there was like maybe 1 or 2 more laps, I could have done something, but Skitty definitely kept it together till the end. Props to him. He managed to hold on. Yeah.
It's going to be an incredible season. I'm looking forward to it. Before I let you go to cool down, to have a chat to everyone, but also to go and enjoy the celebration. You got third place. You got that run. Anything you would like to say to the drivers, to the teams out there, to everyone here at ERA and our partners, and most importantly, to the race fans out there that are eagerly looking forward to seeing how the McLaren does at the top?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the admin team for once again hosting a wonderful season of ERA. Like, it's the 18th season. Like, that is crazy. I'm proud to be a part of it. And yeah, thanks to you, Steven, for commentating. Thanks for all the drivers that are still sticking with ACC, despite some drivers being like, oh, ACC is dying. I don't really think so. It's not dead yet, that's for sure. There's still a lot of fun to be had with this game. And yeah, congrats to Skitty on second place, and congrats to Peterson on his first win of the season.
And it's going to be a great one. I think the competition is very far from dead looking at tonight. Weldon Turners Limburgs taking third place and nearly capturing that second if there was just one more lap. But that being said, there can only be one winner, and one winner who's been fighting and chomping at the bit to be back here. Let's have a chat to Christoph Peterson. Christoph, well done on a victory overall and in class, and by a little bit of a country mile. How are you feeling after that race? Because you took a serious gamble on your pit stop.
Oh yeah, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't that much of a gamble. I think it was just a little early. But yeah, I'm proud of myself, I guess, because I made a lot of mistakes actually in the first stint, and that's kind of a pattern lately. In the Masters League race, I I kind of erased it from my memory really quickly, and wanted to do better this time. And like, of course, in the last race of last season, so that was my like first thing I wanted to fix. Like, I just wanted to be mistake free again, because that was my biggest strength when I was winning all those titles. And yeah, in the second stint, it kind of got better. Like in the first stint, I had a lot of cuts and stuff, went off track twice, but yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, with that being said, I've got to bring up the point, because you've gone back to basics, back to a car that has taken those titles, that's really moved you up through the order in multiple championships. You've gone back to the Honda NSX, and it looks like the Mercedes has been binned, ground up, turned into tin cans and not to be brought back, but you've brought back Old Faithful to the circuit. How was it out there returning to the Honda NSX?
Well, it was kind of a spontaneous decision. Before the Masters League race, I was doing a few laps in the Honda. I hadn't driven the car in like 3 months or something, and it was so fun. And then in the Masters League, I had this like really bad race. So I just kind of spontaneously decided to go Honda, especially also when Miles said he was going to go Honda, because I kind of thought like, then I can just help him out a little with setups and stuff. And just so, and the Mercedes is not like gone. I'm planning to still drive it in race phase, and also of course in the remaining 2 GT3 races of the Masters League. And maybe I'll bring it back in another season. Like it's not like I have a bad opinion about the car now. The mistakes were on me, not on the car. I just wanted to switch it up a little bit again, and it's nice. It's nice to be back. It's still the car I have the most fun in. At Indy, it's maybe a little bit too strong, so the gaps were a bit big and a lot of Hondas in the top 5. But in the rest of the season, I think that will be better and will be more balanced.
Well,
I'm looking forward to it.
It was still wonderful to see you fighting out there. Looks like this season is going to be a very competitive one through the field, because at no point did you have any room to get off the gas, and also trying to navigate your way through the field. You got to see a lot of the fights. What's your take for this season? What's your thoughts to it? And what is your game plan to go and take the victory, considering Limburgs has got the bit between his teeth to carry on a streak, and you restarting your streak? I mean, this is 2 sides of a trophy here. This is each side of the line, friends but rivals, now looking to hold on to the same crown.
I mean, first of all, like, I think it's cool that Limburgs takes the McLaren, because it's a challenge to drive. He might be a little bit slower now than he would have been in the Honda, especially on this track. But I'm really sure it's gonna come to him and he's gonna enjoy it. He's already found like some little aspects he liked about the car in this race, and I think this will carry on. Like I learned a lot when I went to the Mercedes, and I think he'll learn a lot when he does this season in the McLaren. And the season, like it's kind of it's kind of similar to season 16 in many ways. Like there are a lot of tracks that are that we had there. It's very Honda friendly too. Like the car is nice on a lot of those tracks. And I see who like my main rival will be, because Rafael Souza has been there on Thursday in the McLaren too, and he was fast. So I don't know why he wasn't there today. Maybe he was busy or something. I'm hoping that he will come back, so we can have that 3-driver fight again. And also, Skitty looked strong today too. Maybe he can finally get to sniff the title a little bit. That would also be cool.
Absolutely.
So we'll see.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm really looking forward to it. Well, any final words from your side to the drivers, to the teams, to everyone here at ERA, to all the partners, because lots of exciting news in the pipeline as well. But to our spectators out there, going and watching with bated breath on this championship, getting to cheer on and getting to see you once again having to fight for that championship, trying to get that crown back on your head, and you're essentially starting back at the bottom rung.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for attending, first of all, because of course we lost a few drivers, I guess. The grid is not as crazy big as it was the last few seasons in the first race. Might also have to do something with Indy. Indy is usually not a popular track for whatever reason. I really enjoy it personally. I don't know why. Many people don't like it. But I think the drivers we have had here today, they are very committed to the league. They are having a lot of fun, and I think we can have another great season, and hopefully 2 more this year. And we also have a lot planned. Like we're partnering up with Raceface. We haven't really officially announced that yet, but we're partnering up with Raceface to do an endurance season together, which would be really cool. And we have the Drive for Dean coming up in early May. So there's a lot of racing going on. The Masters League is still running. We'll see how that goes. I've fallen back a little bit there. Let's see if I can fight my way back. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching all of the streams. Hopefully also all the other competitions we're gonna do. And let's carry on with this great year.
It's going to be an incredible one, and we're looking forward to it. Well, you got the first one underneath your belt, but it looks like you got to fight for the next one. Christoph Peterson, congratulations. Fear the Bones leads out the field thus far with fastest lap and a race win. Now it's to carry the momentum forward. Congratulations here at Indianapolis.
Thank you.
Christoph, keeping it very PC there, not wanting to say, okay, guys, come at me, bro. But at the same time, you could hear a little bit of, come at me, bro, coming in it. It's just absolutely wonderful stuff. And folks, we got plenty of racing coming up. As you heard, the Drive for Dean is open and is one of our biggest races of the year. It's our biggest charity race that has made history, not once, but twice, 3 times. It has grown and grown and grown, and it's going to happen yet again. You also heard, unofficially, and don't tell anyone, we have got endurance racing coming up, and you got to keep an eye on our socials, out on SimGrid, out on our Discord, to see when that comes up, to team up with your mates and come see who can outlast the test of time every single round to put themselves towards the top. But there's plenty of racing from learning sessions here at ELRA, and that is on a weekly basis. Whether you're a veteran or new, come and enjoy a little bit of learning or get to share that knowledge with drivers. Thursday night sprint race is happening on the 16th of April, and next week we head out to Kyalami. It's going to be a blazing hot circuit. As you heard, a lot of drivers are excited. They do enjoy the circuit, but there can only be one winner here in South Africa, and well, you're either going to get the win or you're going to hook up the braai and have to buy the drinks afterwards. Folks, it's been an incredible time here at ELRA for round 1 of our ELRA Sunday Championship Season 18. I want to thank all our incredible drivers, our teams, our partners, everyone behind the scenes here at ELRA. And I've got to say, the biggest thanks has to go to you, the petrol heads, the legends out on the grandstands, cheering from top to bottom, willing your favorite drivers to the top, joining me here and getting to join in this amazing race. I've always got to say, I'm not a commentator, I'm a spectator. I just land up with a microphone in front of me, but I'm sure every single one of you will want to go and shout louder than what I can do and check this championship, fight their way to the top across the 3 fields. And next week we got Server 2 going online. And once again, we'll have them going out live on YouTube. We missed out round 1, but we will have Murad coming back into the commentary box. We're looking forward to having him. You don't want to miss round 2 and both servers going live next week, Sunday. But folks, it's been an absolutely incredible one. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like. Let us know what was your favorite moment here at Indianapolis, at the Brickyard, at the legendary circuit. And let's see who will be at the top coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from Tim the cameraman, Jim, our flag marshal, and myself, Stephen Koenig, I'd like to wish you all good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody!